So today we're talking all about brake fluid. Brake fluid is probably the most ignored automotive fluid out there. Very few people actually go through the time and effort of flushing out their brake system, but I'm here to tell you, you should probably do it. Because the thing is, brake fluid absorbs moisture over time, and that moisture lowers the boiling point of the fluid. That can cause brake fade, corrosion in your braking system, or potential damage to the ABS. So in this video, what we're going to go over here is we're going to go over, first of all, what brake fluid does, why does it actually go bad, what is the difference between .3, .4, .5.1, one bottle here that has all three listed on it versus a bottle that says just .5. In addition to all of that, I'm also going to show you guys how to go through and do your own testing on your brake fluid to see if you do in fact need to flush it. So I'm going to start this video out with the very basics. What the heck is brake fluid? Well, brake fluid is ultimately what is responsible for transmitting the force from your foot down to the brakes. And the reason that brake fluid works is the fact that fluids are not compressible. So this is why when you absolutely stand on the brake pedal, the pedal feels very firm because, well, you're feeling the feedback from the pad against that brake rotor, and that force is not being absorbed by the brake fluid because the fluid, again, is not compressible. Now, where you can run into issues is if the brake fluid boils. So what can happen over time is the brake fluid absorbs water out of the air. And this is by design, and we'll talk about this in a second. So the brake fluid absorbing the water out of the air in a brake system that gets very hot, it could potentially boil the fluid in the system. Well, when the fluid boils in the system, the fluid turns to vapor. And brake fluid vapor compresses. Liquid brake fluid does not. You do not want a vapor in your brake system. Because if that happens, the pedal will essentially go to the floor and the braking output will be greatly diminished. So the reason that brake fluid absorbs water over time, it's absolutely intentional, and it was actually designed this way. So if you stop and think about it, a vehicle goes through a lot of different heat cycles, hot and cold. And what can happen in those heat cycles is you can get condensation forming inside the brake system due to that big temperature swing. Well, because of that, the fluid will actually absorb that water. If the fluid didn't absorb water, what could happen is, well, you could get one big chunk of water somewhere in the system, like down in a caliper, that could freeze. So if you left the vehicle sit overnight, you could have a caliper that's frozen because it's full of water. So as this brake fluid absorbs water, that water is evenly distributed throughout the entire system. So it does bring down the boiling point of the brake fluid itself, but that situation is a much better option than having a caliper or a line completely frozen because it's full of water in one particular section. So brake fluid needs to be able to handle a ton of heat. It has to be able to handle high pressure, and it also has to be able to make it through small ABS passages in the ABS module. So in addition to that, like I said, it needs to resist boiling, lubricate seals, and prevent corrosion. Because you have so many different metals in these braking systems, you could have cast iron, aluminum, steel, copper, stainless, and rubber. Well, you need a fluid that's going to work well with all those different materials. So these glycol-based brake fluids will work very well with all of those different metals. And what you will actually find over time is these brake fluids will actually start to absorb copper specifically out of different parts of the braking system, and that is what causes the brake fluid to turn dark. So if you go to your vehicle and you open the cap on the master cylinder and it looks like used motor oil, yeah, that's from the copper in the system. So the only way that you can get rid of that is sort of like an oil change. Well, you got to flush all that old stuff out of there and put fresh brake fluid in the vehicle. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go over the different types of brake fluid. So first of all is going to be .3. This stuff has been around forever. I'd say probably 60% of the vehicles on the roadway that use a hydraulic braking system probably have .3 in them. It's been used forever. It's probably, I don't know, like 80, 90 years old at this point. Been around forever, works great. I've never personally had any sort of issues with .3 in a street-driven vehicle. Now, if you need a higher boiling point, you can step up to .4. And like I said, the main difference is it's just a higher boiling point version of essentially .3. Now, the next one here is .5.1, which has an even higher boiling point than .4. In addition to having a higher boiling point than .4, it's also a slightly thinner viscosity. So you're going to see this in newer vehicles that have like self-driving functions, automatic braking functions, things like that. Because, well, when you're automating emergency braking in cold weather, you need the fluid to be a very, very consistent viscosity. Now, the nice thing is all three of these fluids are completely compatible with one another. So they are all a glycol-based fluid. And the nice thing is with that, if you own a .3 system, you can put .5.1 in it to raise that boiling point. Let's say, you know, you wanted to take the vehicle and do a track day with it. It's completely fine to do that. What you need to understand though is the higher the boiling point gets, so when you move to like a .3 to a .5.1, that .5.1 absorbs more water more quickly than .3. So your service interval on a .5.1 is going to be more frequent because it's absorbing more water than what the .3 is. So yes, if you have a .3 system, you can put .4 or .5.1 in it. But if you have a .5.1 system, you can't put .3 in it because the boiling point isn't up to where it needs to be. So hopefully all of that makes sense. So yes, they are all completely compatible with one another, but you have to be sure that you're using the correct brake fluid in the correct system. And the nice thing is about, you know, the different types of brake fluid that we're talking about here is, well, the federal government mandated the type of brake fluid be printed on the cap for the master cylinder. So if you go open the hood of your vehicle and read the writing on the cap for the master cylinder, it will tell you what sort of brake fluid you're supposed to use. Now, where you need to be very, very careful is with something called .5. .5 is not .5.1. You want to use 5.1. Do not use .5 in your automotive system. I believe this is used in a lot of different motorcycle applications. I'm not really sure. I'm not a huge motorcycle guy, but I think they use it for like clutch fluid and fork fluid and things like that. At any rate, the .5 is not glycol based. This is a silicone base. So it may not be compatible with all of the rubber parts in the braking system of your vehicle. .5.1, .4, and .3 are all glycol based. So that is why they're all kind of compatible with one another. This, again, is silicone based. It is not the same thing. So if you're going to the auto parts store looking for .5.1, do not pick up .5 by mistake and put that in your system, because over time, it's not going to be instantaneously, but you could cause all sorts of problems. Now, the other one here is going to be a combination fluid like the stuff I got from Bosch. If you look there, it says .3, .4, and .5.1. What you need to understand is these dot numbers are federally regulated. So what these dot numbers essentially mean is that fluid meets a certain standard. So for the fluid to be called a .3, it has to have a certain boiling point and a certain viscosity that is glycol based. For the fluid to be a .4, it has to be a certain boiling point, certain viscosity. For it to be a 5.1, it has to have a certain boiling point and certain viscosity. Well, it just so happens that the fluid that is in this package meets all three of those specifications. So like I was saying, where you could put a car that took .3, you could put 5.1 in it. If the fluid in this container exceeds the level of .3, it automatically qualifies as a .3 fluid. So chances are this is probably some sort of .5.1 fluid. And then by extension, because it meets the lower level requirements for 3 and 4, they can put that on the package too. So hopefully, you know, that kind of clears things up. and makes it a little bit easier to understand what these numbers mean and what you can mix with what, and ultimately what you can't. Now, if any of you guys are looking for information regarding, like testing different types of brake fluid to one another, I'm actually going to direct you to a study conducted by the U.S. Army. It turns out the Army actually went through and did a bunch of testing on .3, .4, .5.1. They tested things obviously like wet boiling point, dry boiling point. They also tested wet viscosity versus dry viscosity, in addition to like how quickly do they corrode different metals in the braking system, because they did all this testing and all this evaluation to try and determine, okay, what brake fluid are we going to use in our entire fleet of vehicles? And the nice thing is, well, this is now out in the public and you can actually go find this study. It's about 65 pages long. I'll link it down in the description, but I'm really not going to shoot any sort of comparison video on brake fluid because, well, the US Army is going to do a way better job than whatever I possibly could on this YouTube channel out of my home garage. So I'm going to recommend you guys, if you're looking for very, very specific information on any of these brake fluids, that would be my best recommendation where you should go. Now, most manufacturers recommend a brake fluid service generally about every 3 years or so, and it's largely going to be determined by the manufacturer. But what you need to understand about flushing out your brake system, it's going to help prevent corrosion in your calipers, ABS modules, and your brake lines. And in addition to that, it's also going to restore the boiling point of the fluid back up to where it should be. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to take you guys over to a vehicle, my wife's Escape, and show you guys just real quick how you could test your brake fluid at home to see if you actually need to flush it or not. Now, in order to test the overall condition of your brake fluid, I'm going to use two separate tests here. So the first one is going to be this electronic tester. You can get them fairly cheap online. I want to say, 10, 12 bucks, somewhere in that neighborhood. And what this is used for is this will actually measure the moisture content of the brake fluid. So on my wife's Escape, I have never flushed the brake system on this Escape. And if I take the tester, you take the two probes, put it down into the fluid and push the button on top, you can see there, it's reading 0. But when I put it down into the fluid, you can see it's reading about 3% there. So I know right away that the moisture content in this brake fluid is very, very high. And because of that, it could be causing corrosion to things like calipers, wheel cylinders, ABS modules, things like that. Now, the other test that you can run is going to be with a test strip. So these test strips that I'll have linked, if you look there, if I flip this around, it shows brake fluid and it also shows coolant. So if you take this end of the test strip and put it down into the brake fluid, what you're going to do, you're going to dip it and just kind of tap the excess off. And then you're going to go over to the package and then you're going to read how that square compares to this graph down here on the bottom. It takes about 90 seconds for this square to turn to the correct color. But if you give it enough time, you can see this one that I've already done. You can see it's pretty high on that scale. So this is the copper corrosion level that I'm reading with these test strips. And the closer you get to this dark purple, the higher and higher the need is for you to flush out the brake system. So with all that in mind, well, I have to flush the brakes on this car, which is understandable because, well, I've never done it. This Escape's about 10 years old at this point, so it's kind of expected that it's going to need a brake fluid service. So hopefully all of that makes sense. Why we have so many different kinds of fluid, what the different boiling points are, and ultimately, how do you determine whether or not you need to flush your brake system? So guys, I will have links down in the description to all the different kinds of brake fluid here, in addition to the test strips that I used and the moisture meter if you guys want to test your own brake fluid at home to see if you need to flush it. So as always, guys, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more content, go down and hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.